What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video.
I rep the West to the death, but my life is better. I've shed blood, shed tears, man, I stormed bad weather. I caught an L at 19, that's a cold ass letter. But now I'm back in the world and trying to make it better forever. They counted me out at a young age, but now I'm living proof. I'm in this booth, I'm spitting truth, you see me on the tube. The Dove Show, homies bounce and roll. The Dove Show.
Today I was gonna do this video. I was gonna do a video on this topic. An inmate was murdered. An inmate's life was taken in Old Folsom. A lot of people out of state may not know there are two Folsoms in California. Old Folsom, which is the one that most people have heard of, and then there's New Folsom. The other day there was an incident that occurred in the day room, and like I said, I was gonna do the video, and then I saw that the Homie Hangout channel did a video. I'm gonna put a link somewhere in this video for you guys to go to that video, check it out. Thanks to him, I didn't come with erroneous information. The Homie Hangout channel talked about the press release that the CDC issued. And in the press release, basically it was that one of the alleged attackers was doing a parole violation and was going home or had gotten 2 years or whatever. Okay, unless something new has happened, the most you would get on a violation, on a flat violation, was 12 months, 1 year. This is the second story I've done this weekend where someone had a violation and was busted for more than that. The guy that did the walkaway, the so-called escape from Pelican Bay the other day, was it Friday night? They said he was doing a violation for possession of drugs, but he had already been down 16 months. So that's more than a violation. So I don't know if something changed or the CDC is just issuing erroneous statements. Now, this individual that I want to discuss vaguely is from Sunnyvale, a southerner from Sunnyvale, California. And despite the CDC saying that he had a 2-year term, the Homie Hangout was able to find that he had been found guilty. One where I don't know if he pled, had a plea bargain or he went to trial or whatever, but it was for an attempted murder. I would assume it was a plea bargain just because going to trial on a attempted murder can get you a life sentence. So I would assume he took a deal. He still had 6 years to go. According to what's being said, that individual, his points had just dropped. He had just arrived in Old Folsom sometime this month. Recently got there. The victim in this case was an SNY. He was an SNY inmate who was now being housed on a GP facility, mainline facility, whatever you want to call it, right? And I know that this thing seems strange, sounds strange to some. But if I'm being 1,000% honest, when it comes to low-level prisons, especially 1s, 2s, and sometimes 3s, it's been known for decades that the CDC would plant certain guys on those yards. They wouldn't do it on the level 4s. But on the level 3s, level 3s, it was now and then. Level 3s, level 2s, level 1s, they would definitely plant guys out there to gather information for the cops. I did a story maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago on an individual, a white guy by the name of Stretch. He had been sent actually on a level 4 180. He had been sent to B facility in New Folsom. And we were able to find out, thanks to a Crip that hollered at me in the kitchen, we were able to find out that he was actually a dope rat. He would be moved to different yards in order to find out who was slinging dope on the yards, specifically Mexicans, Southern Mexicans, and whites. But if he could get the blacks to sell to him, he would let the cops know who all the dope dealers were on the yard. That way they'd all get snatched up and the money gets funny for a little while. Okay. So the CDC has been doing this for a long time. With this recent California model push and them trying to integrate more people, this is something the CDC's done for a long time. They're just doing it on a more frequent basis. I have been saying in my videos, my personal opinion, they're doing this not because of some old California model or this Norway project and all that. No, they're doing it because a lot of lifers have gone home. And there seems to be some people who are very, very ignorant to what really goes on in the California Department of Corrections. They are actually saying erroneously that only guys that go S&Y and have a life sentence parole. That's completely false. Guys on S&Y and GP that have life sentences have paroled by the thousands. So I've consistently said it is my belief that the CDC is setting up the inmate population. The CDC is extremely pissed that the courts stepped in and forced them to let men out of the shoes. Forced them to be more humane in the way they incarcerate those held within the California Department of Corrections. So they're letting all of these things happen. They're forcing things to happen. If this individual had 6 years to do, 6 years left, whatever it was, the CDC put him in a position to have to do something. And there's going to be people in the comments that are going to say, Dubs, he had a choice. He absolutely did. Everyone always has a choice. And there's also the reality of the situation. There's also a saying in the CDC, better him than me. I can't speak for these two individuals that are being suspected of this case, but I can say they were feeling like, hey, we better get him before we get got. And the CDC knows that. There's thousands of men on that yard. And so people would say, well, how come out of the thousands, that's just the way it is? How come out of the millions on the streets, there's a small percentage that commit crime? We can't answer that. It happens. However, in the California Department of Corrections, it happens more. It's a place with its own laws, its own rules. It's a society of its own. And we can't use the free world mentality and apply it to people in that life, in that world. You'd get cannibalized. You'd get eaten up. I look at it as a very, very horrible situation that was orchestrated by the California Department of Corrections. It's another example of how the CDC doesn't give a damn about taxpayer dollars, because the person that died in this case, if he has any family here in the United States, they're going to file a lawsuit. They're going to file a civil lawsuit. And it's going to be investigated. Why was their loved one on that yard? And if it's found that the CDC set him up, they disregarded his housing status, whatever, that family's going to get about $1 million probably. Easily. I remember when I was incarcerated, we used to hear that the California Department of Corrections, in their budget, in their yearly budget, set aside, I don't know where this number came from, but it was said that they set aside $7 million in every annual budget to settle inmate lawsuits. Those are the ones filed by inmates. This individual that was killed for being an SNY placed on a GP is not going to be the last one. He's far from the first one. The California Department of Corrections is playing hardball. They know what to do to get people to stop being violent, and they know what to do to get people to act violent. They're playing chess with your loved ones. If you have a loved one housed within the Department of Corrections here in California, he's a chess piece on a cold-blooded board. A board nobody wants to be on. But that's just the reality of the situation. There's nothing that can be done. The administration running the California Department of Corrections, they are dead set on stopping lifers from going home. One of the guys apparently was a lifer. A lifer that made it down in points to be housed in Old Folsom. That guy would probably be able to, he would have been able to go home soon. He just reset the clock. He's not going to be looked at for parole for probably 20 more years now. And I don't know how old he is. But I would assume that's it for him. The guy that had 6 months or 6 years, to do. No, that's a life sentence now. The CDC, they did their job on those two. They got rid of one guy who knows what his charges were. But now they got two guys for sure for at least another 20 years. And they're doing it over and over and over again. That's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.